Getting into a car crash of any level can be a stressful situation. Emotions can run high after an accident, and what you say could have an impact on your claim later on. So what should you say and not say to the other driver after a wreck? Attorney Brandon Dawson from those Thumbs Up guys are here to answer those questions. Good morning to you.
Good morning. You're used to having Jeff here with me.
I know, it's just you today.
We miss him, I know.
Yeah, but this is an important topic. Why is it so important to watch what you say at the scene of a wreck?
Yeah, I think what happens a lot of times in these dispute of liability, red light, green light, turn arrows, those sort of things, people will come out and we don't really know who was at fault. So if you and I got in a wreck and I came and I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Emily. I just didn't see them. It's my fault." Just even saying I'm sorry can imply fault. Obviously, if you say it was my fault, you're accepting responsibility at that point in time. As we always say, if you were at fault, please own it. Like that. That's your responsibility as a human and part of the society to own up to your wrongs. It doesn't mean you're a bad person, but don't lie about it. But yeah, you don't want to say, I'm so sorry when you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
It would be like looking at my kids, and if they're apologizing for something, I go, what'd you do wrong?
Exactly.
You're not apologizing if you're not in the wrong.
Yeah. Is there anything we should be saying on the scene to the other driver?
Yeah, I think you want to get out and check on them first and foremost. Are you okay? Are you injured? Do I need to call the police? Do I need to call the ambulance? Really try to minimize your conversation with them, but go check on them. I think it's the right thing to do. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you have no obligation to do that. But I think if I was in a collision, fortunately it's been quite some time since that's occurred, go and check on the other party to make sure they're okay, especially if it was a serious collision. And then you want to call the police, have them come out, give a statement to them. Take a lot of video. Again, video is always better than pictures. Pictures sometimes miss things. Video will pick up obviously the audio in the background and also really some other frames that you might miss if you're taking pictures of it. So as we've told you on here before, video is always better than a picture. And again, you never know what somebody might be saying in the background. They might be on the phone and you catch that and they're calling their spouse saying, I just blew right through a red light. I don't know what I was thinking. What do I do? And so you can sometimes catch stuff like that on the video as well.
One piece of advice for us to keep in mind when you get into a crash, how do we make sure that we're keeping our emotions in check and not letting us get ahead of ourselves?
Yeah, much easier said than done, right? It's all well and good to be able to say it right here when you just didn't get plowed into. I think again, trying to keep a level head in that situation and just kind of sticking to the very simple basics. Am I okay? Do I need to call, for help right now? Is the other driver okay? Those are probably the first two things that really anybody should be thinking about in that situation. Is there anybody else that's hurt that needs medical care? That's always the first thing that we need to be thinking about. Then going, all right, I need to document this, so I have to call the police. As we've said many, many times before, I strongly discourage people from saying, oh, we'll just exchange insurance information. If it's super minor and you're not injured, that's fine. But I have seen it where this is no lie, more than once I've seen this where somebody got rear-ended and later on they called us because they were having a property damage dispute. They weren't injured and the other driver said, oh yeah, they backed into me. I'm like, you mean to tell me that we're stopped in traffic, they threw it in reverse and backed into you? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But that's the kind of thing that comes up. Now, if the police had come out and done a report, I highly doubt that they would have said, oh yeah, we backed into him. I think somebody gave them that idea to come up with a scheme to maybe get out of this. And then we get into this, he said, she said. We don't really know. So it's important to get it documented. If you are going to just do the exchange of information, maybe get a video of them, if they know that they're at fault, and just be like, hey, do you mind just saying, your name, what happened, and that way we have this, documented, and we don't get to change our stories later.
Yeah, it's nice to have today's technology for those kinds of instances, for sure. All right, guys, if you ever go through this, you hear them talk about this every week, just give them a call. It's easy to call, free to call. InPain.com is where you can go to learn some more information or call that number on your screen.
Check out our social media site, blogs. We got all this info as well. So if you're ever going, hey, what did he say again? You can check that out. We're always trying to give some weekly tips on what to do.
Definitely. Brandon, thank you so much.
Thanks, Emily.